I'm all fucking tanked on moonshine. What the fuck?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you just gotta get Don Kincaid lit. Yeah.
Well, I guess he showed up, so I'll do this.
Whoa. No. You guess I showed up? Guess I showed up?
I didn't think
I'm surprised you don't have the COVID D. You're not rocking the Rona. Instead, you got on my T-shirt trying to pucker up your little lips to my sweet big Italian ass. And instead of us doing what we're supposed to be doing these last couple weeks, we're doing interviews with Don Kincaid.
Yeah, baby.
We're stirring the pot.
Yeah, stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest. I gotta stand up for this one. My very special guest, one SOG, Soldier of God, Ronnie Ribs himself. Oh my God, I cannot believe that you said yes and you showed up. And look at that smile. You're good.
Oh, you humble me, Don. You humble me. You can't believe I said yes. Come on.
So, how you doing? Because we're all dodging the COVID. The COVID.
I got you. I'm doing good. Everything's been great up here. First off, for all you knuckleheads out there in internet land, there are definitely more to New York than just New York City. We have about, where I live, my region, about half to a third of the number of cases as, Rhode Island, which hasn't had anybody die yet. So, we're just on that. I hope it stays true. So keep trying to dodge the bullet. There's still no toilet paper up here either, though, or I'd send you a roll.
Dude, I don't even want to. I don't want to even go near you if there's no toilet paper up there. I'm telling you right now.
It's coming. Don't worry.
Well, seeing you smile makes me feel very warm because I thought it was going to be. It was a tiny little rocky start, but seeing that smile, look at you. You're gorgeous. This is going to be amazing because, me and Mr. SOG, we have it's not been a lengthy relationship, but it's been a couple years running, maybe 3-ish or so. And the first time I seen him, he's big, he's got a presence about him, he smashes you in the mouth, and it caught my eye. I like guys like that in wrestling, That's the older school look of wrestling. There's no flippy doos. There's none of that. It's punch you in the face, knock you out, get you for the 1, 2, 3. My time is done. I get paid by the hour.
Exactly.
So, with all of that being said, I don't know how or why. There was one show at the XWA Center. It was a Thursday night throwdown or no, it was Nova. That's what it was. It was a Nova show out in Rhode Island, and I seen Ribs walking all the way from the entrance, and I go to my dad. I go, dude, I cannot wait to fuck with him. Wait till he sees us, right? So here comes Ronnie Ribs walking down the ramp, and it's pre-show. We got there wicked early, and he's around. He comes looking for a chair or something underneath the ring, and I go, oh my God, not this guy. And SOG just laid right in on me. And that relationship has carried over ever since Nova. Do you remember that day, first off? And it's been a fucking crazy ride with one SOG.
I do. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember something along the lines of you call for the lightning, I'm bringing the thunder. Yeah, I steal a line from Kurt Russell in Tombstone. You know, it's been a blast, and it's always fun having you around. Of course, you know, you and Fogman, you guys make a lot of different trips to a lot of different venues. I think I've seen you in about, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe more different companies over the last few years, at least, right? At least. I mean, you've been up there for MAW, for Nova, up here in New York. You came up here in New York
Yep.
for
Oh,
Survival. That was a fun night. It didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to, but, you know, Bobby Ocean. That's off to you, Will.
We're gonna definitely talk about the reach of one Ronnie Ribs from place to place, because I like to give the fans a little insight. We pull the curtain back a little bit, and we get to know the SOG behind the curtain just a little bit if you give it to us, you know. So your time is.
I'll tell you, you know, I try to stay humble, brother, but I do keep a telescope here for when I'm on the road so my kids can still see me, because I'm nothing but a bright, beautiful, shining star, Daddy. That's all there is to
it. Ronnie Ribs, he comes out as a character. He doesn't have no crazy gear. It's always looking good, but it's not, you know, no craziness. When he gets in the ring again, it's smash mouth and such. The fans, what I like to do is kind of describe on how the characters are built in wrestling from our favorite men and women in the industry. And so please, could you talk about the character of SOG and how it became to where it is?
Well, I am a soldier of God. I was confirmed a soldier of God, and my confirmation actually took place in Afghanistan. I did a couple of tours of duty over there as a 11 Charlie, an infantryman, 10th Mountain Division.
Thank you for your service, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. But I am a follower of God, and I am a soldier. I'm still that same infantryman at heart. You can ask my wife. She'll tell you flat out how I feel about a lot of things. It isn't exactly PC, and it's not exactly the way that. That's nothing we should talk about on here. But I am who I am. You know, it's like Hogan's got that big ass tattoo on his arm. I am what I am. Well, I am what I am. You either like it or you don't. And as far as the wrestling style, I grew up. I'm older. There's gray hairs. Trust me, I'm older. I grew up on the guys like Don Morocco and, you know, obviously Hogan and, you know, Dino Bravo and the Road Warriors, guys who went in there and just fucked you up and left. And the reason they did that was they get paid by the hour. There's an old saying in baseball: a pitcher moving fast is pitching like he's double parked. Well, I got a whole bunch of tickets on my car. They're fixing to bring the boot. I got to go. And it's funny because the last few years I've been compared a lot to Greg the Hammer Valentine. A lot of people have said that.
I can see that.
There's a whole lot worse company to be compared to. So, again, Hammer, if you see it, that's
all. Hey! Speaking of cheers, look at what I've got. This has been sitting around for. Yeah, it's apple moonshine that was handmade and given to me as a present, and I've only sipped so much because I'm not a drinker at all.
Right.
I kind of like the flower, if you will, you know. So anywho,
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
God gave it to us.
I am gonna see if I can untap this because this is a special occasion for me. Okay, so if this even opens, oh.
It almost got to get you in the gym, Don. It almost didn't open.
No. I'm surprised it didn't open. And if it didn't, that would have made money stirring the pot with one SOG.
I would have had to have laid into you if that didn't open.
Ooh, holy shit, Ronnie! You should smell this shit.
I almost can right through the screen. I almost can. Holy moly!
Hey, cheers, my friend. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Salute. You'll be all right.
It's fermented, never fucking ferment. Oh my God, this is fantastic, though. Woo.
I'll tell you, the strongest shine I ever had was actually over in Afghanistan. You know, you go down and I won't say which country was making it, but there was some beautiful plum rum going around. They fermented it right outside the tents.
Oh,
And
man.
you bring you bring your canteen, which we never used anymore, the big plastic joints, bring
Mhm.
that down to them, and for $5, they'll fill it to the rim. Whew! I was at a USO show. JBL was there. The sergeant major of the army was sitting right next to me, so I felt pretty screwed up. His name was it Jack Tilley at the time or something like that, and I was just hammered on this plum rum, man. And I ended up meeting JBL there, and he was, if I ever see you back stateside, you tell me where you met me, and I'll buy you a beer. I'll be damned if he didn't hold true to that. I met him in Dulles Airport. And I ran up to him. So I was like, that man owed me a beer. I'm not going to let a free beer go away. So I ran up. I told him where he met me. He said, well, let's go. And he's probably on a private jet. He's got all day. But he went there. He bought me a beer. Said, thank you for your service, my friend. Drank the beer. And he drank that thing in like one sip, put it down, said, thank you very much, and left.
Wow.
So that's my JBL story for everybody.
Hey, see, these are the things. If you see Ronnie Ribs at SOG, if you see SOG at the shows, he comes out and he's no joke, no business.
That's my office.
This is the stuff, my friend, that the fans and I would never be able to kind of chew the fat with one SOG and pulling that curtain back. So that's good stuff, man. I love that stuff. And holy shit, that moonshine is finally making its way down.
Kincaid going to be drunk on stirring the pot.
Holy shit, things. My God, that is fucking tasty, though. Now, the Soldier of God, that character has not only been a singles wrestler. I've seen you in a faction. Could you tell it? There it is right there. Yes, my man.
These guys are not in it now. Now, the faction called the Fellowship.
Yes.
Myself, Osiris, we're the founding fathers. We brought in Dante Dio. We brought in HBO. He was a bit of a stretch. We had another member at one point, Jake Jacoby, who, he started out, didn't really make it. It's all good, though. It was all about the lineage. Osiris was trained by Slick Wagner Brown. I was trained by ZS3 in part, Zachary Springate III. I was also trained by Joseph Von Schmidt at the PWA in 33 Chestnut Street, New Haven, Connecticut. That's where I started my training. And up here, you got Wagner and Springate's trainer, Killer Kowalski, his trainer, Luthez, his trainer, Ed the Strangler Lewis, his trainer, Mr. Gotch himself, the godfather of all wrestling. That's why we always used to say, lineage matters. You ain't been trained in our lineage, you just ain't been trained. No, I'm just kidding. You want to hear a funny story that was said to me by Dory Funk's wife? I was on vacation, and I'm sitting down there in Ocala, Florida, where a lot of my family lives, and I see on the internet, the Funkin' Conservatory right around the corner. So I call up, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to come in and train a little bit. I'm a trained wrestler. I've been doing this for, at the time, I think it was, 4 or 5 years. And she said, oh, darling, you ain't been trained till Dory trained you. wanted me to pay $3,500 to train. There was no 1 week thing. It was a 3-month, $3,500 for 3 months. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Man, you want to take the knife out of my back?
The Fellowship, you use the word lineage. I've heard it in your promos.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it when you're in the ring, jawing at your opponent or the fans. Talk about the lineage, because Slick Wagner Brown, he's all about that Kowalski, man. He's been passing that on. That Kowalski lineage. So give us the lineage and how the Fellowship falls into all of that.
Well, like I said, Osiris, the other founding father of the Fellowship, was trained by Wagner Brown. I was trained by Zachary Springate III. They were both at Kowalski's, I believe, at the same time, crossover, something like that. Springate's obviously in Syracuse, New York now, and Slick Wagner Brown's down in Connecticut. And, basically you had a whole slew of guys trained by Kowalski, and there's a ton of guys that trained there for a week and said, I was trained by Kowalski. No, you weren't. There's a ton of guys who trained there when it wasn't really killer anymore doing the training, who said, "Oh, I was trained by Kowalski," and they were only there for a short time and didn't really understand the philosophy. Like anybody who knows about the Kowalski lineage knows you can literally step into any one of those training dojos, training schools, whatever you want to call it. And when whoever's in charge yells rope drill, you know exactly what to do because there's only one way to do it, and that's the right way.
You know, it's funny you mention that because I have actually been to a couple of the training sessions at Tessa Strength, based out of East Hartford. Fantastic time. We always see Ronnie, SOG come in and out like a tornado in that place because it's quite small. But
That's my job.
Yeah, man. Those things have always been passed on through the students that I've actually seen, and I've had the actual honor to be part of a couple of the seminars there, and Nunzio was one of them. Now check this shit out. Nunzio's there for about, I don't know, if he was there for about 20 minutes or so. They chit-chatted. He said, like, dude, try this or try that, and they kind of do the little group thing or whatever, right? Now, after that 15 or 20 minutes was done, he looked around, he goes, you guys are kind of good, like you already kind of get a lot of what like there's no basic here. You guys are good in a perfect environment to elevate your career. Test of Strength just seems like a great place to wrestle. Give us a relationship with SOG, Slick Wagner Brown, and the whole Test of Strength, man.
Oh man, well, I mean, I met Wagner Brown. I think the first time I met Slick Wagner Brown was probably, Christ, it was back way before I was even wrestling. I think the first time I met him was a Top Rope show in Fall River, Mass. But then I met him again up in Syracuse when he was riding the shoulders of some big, tall son of a gun out to the ring. And, I just kind of started to get to chatting with him at different shows and stuff. And he knew my trainer, obviously, Springgate. Got to know me. I'm pretty close with Bo Douglas. So, it was just one of those things where it was like, you just fit in. Everybody knows everyone from the Kowalski tree. And it kind of just works out. We all look out for each other as much as we possibly can. Mm-hmm. So, when he started up Test of Strength, we were like, hey, yeah, we'll come down there and do some stuff for you. Absolutely. We love to wrestle. That's what we love to do. Yeah. And that's still what it is. We did a seminar with Wagner. Excuse me while I touch my face. Don't do that at home, kids. Now I need hand spritz and facial and mud bath, everything else. But we did one down there when the fellowship was just starting out. With the American Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey, damn it, the hell's his name?
There was
Eddie Edwards and Davey.
Wow.
I can't remember his name, his last name now. Hey, I look like an idiot, but
Davey Richards.
Yes, thank you. No, not Stevie Richards. Did you just say Stevie Richards? Davey Richards.
Davey Richards.
There you go. Thanks. So Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. And that was actually fun. We got to mix it up with them for a quick second, and it was really good. And then he moved. I think it was the downstairs of the building he's in now, and then he moved upstairs to where he's at now. And it was great. We just kept following along, wherever we want to go. It was great. Wherever he goes, I'm going to go.
Do you like that? That relationship seems to work for everybody at Test of Strength because you have to. Number one, obviously, be safe. But it's a different environment and I know we're not standing up in such like a beyond situation. We're not standing at the ring. But I'm telling you, yeah, dude, that environment is very tight. So when Slick Wagner Brown brings people in, he's got to trust them, not with just his students and himself, but he's got those people that come in and watch because we're so tight-knit. Do you like that kind of environment where it's like that?
I personally get really anxious about it. Not a lot of people know. I'm not too sure how comfortable I am putting that out there. But anyway, I have really bad PTSD from my time overseas. I don't talk about it very much, but people being that close, it tends to throw me off a little bit. In fact, I think I've actually given you the Iggy a couple times, like, hey, Don, watch out. Some shit's coming your way.
Yes.
And that's just out of love and respect. It's I don't want to see you get hurt. I mean,
No.
you weigh all 35 pounds. but yeah, there are places where I go where I'm like, I'll reach out and I'll touch the guardrails, or I'll touch the if there's a rope, I'll touch the rope. I have a way of doing things that are mine, where I'm like, okay, there's that there, and that separates me from them, and it separates my persona from really me. You see what I'm saying? I kind of disassociate it like that, so it works out well for me.
As a wrestler, and I know you're a veteran of the game at this point, and you you look good. You come in with a stature. You let the fans know I'm about to piss on you, so here I come. And your style of wrestling, it's the smash mouth and all of that. Is it hard to gain the hearing for the fans? Because I've kind of gauged everybody I've been talking to. Do you hear the fans when you come out? Do you feed off of them? And did it take a while to get there, if you do?
I hear them before I ever come out. I hear them when I'm in the back.
Okay.
I listen specifically for that in matches before mine. I try to watch every single match I can. I definitely hear it beforehand, and when I get in there are certain times where people don't really know what to do, or you haven't given a reason to know. Which is what I think happened actually at Survival Championship Wrestling with me and Bobby Ocean. Like I came out there and I wasn't feeling the hatred, other than from a few people who knew who I was. So what did I do? Well, they wanted fast paced and exciting. You were there, you saw. What did I do? I put them in a headlock for the first 5 minutes of the match, and I said, "You're not going anywhere." Like I locked in, and his face was turning purple. Wasn't going nowhere. And I said, there's a reason I'm not letting you go right now, and it's until these people understand that we're going to work my pace, not yours. We're not going to go out there and flippity fly. I'm not going to do that with Bobby Ocean. I'm going to lose. That's silly. Instead, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to put him in a headlock, slow everything down, and then when I feel like it, I'm going to run over like a tank, like a Tiananmen Square in 1985. That's going to be me, running people over. Bad one, man. You might want to edit that Tiananmen Square out. I don't know, man.
Hey, this is an open forum. I've never edited anything ever.
Yes.
And I'm a little tanked myself right now. So.
All right, the hat's coming off. Let's get it done, Daddy.
Dude, I'm feeling a little sweaty. I might have to take this shit off too, because I'm starting to fucking sweat.
Always a good time, man. We stirring the pot. What else you got?
I can't remember the last time I've ever really sat down and drank with anybody. I mean, it's been the very last times that I've drank and got really fucked up, I was playing on stage live with my band High Octane. We do the 80s hair band shit, and I took off. Yeah, it was for my birthday, and I took off my shirt. Who the fuck wants to see what's under this shirt? Nobody. But anywho, I had I want to call her my friend, but she kept feeding me trays of kamikazes, and I just kept fucking down.
That's not a friend. There's some road stories that aren't to be developed on video that start off with, well, this one time we were in Maine, and this one time we were, but for some reason, whenever Osiris is around, there seems to be kamikazes involved, or an entire box of Jaeger.
Oh, fuck. The fellowship, to get a comfortability, a chemistry, you have to trust your guy next to you, your brother. But you were using a few of the guys, but I know I've seen you and Osiris a few times, and I'm not going to bring it up because you're going to fucking kill me over, because I still have not yet made a highlight reel of one specific match. And I'm telling you, I keep telling the poor bastard that I'm going to make this fucking thing, and I keep forgetting to do it.
One match a year, Don.
It's just one match. That's all this poor guy's asking for, and I keep fucking him on. I know. I feel like a jackass. So you know what I'm going to do for that, Mr. SOG?
I'm going
to take another sip.
Who's your next guest, Bill?
Oh my God, he's in so much trouble. Holy shit.
Bill's not going to know what's going on.
The camaraderie and, to be able to trust your brother in the fellowship. How did it become it was Osiris and the guys that you picked? How did you get that going?
Well, when it started off as me and Osiris, it was kind of funny. I was backstage at an NCW show up in Dedham, Mass, I think it was. But we passed by each other and we stopped and looked at each other like we had known each other for 10 years, only we had never met. Really strange. We were like, oh, hi. So we left, and then I ran into him again in Connecticut. We were going down there for a show. The promoter has since passed on, Eric Newton. And I went down just to watch and give him my stuff. And at that time, I was ready to just work for one place. That was going to be In Your Face Wrestling, which used to be owned by Drake Evans. And GA walked in, Osiris walked in, pardon me. And, he sat down with us, and I was just kind of talking to him for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you do the whole holy thing, right, as a heel. And he was like, yeah. And he's like, so do you. I'm like, yeah. Well, there's something there. So literally like probably a week or two later, he called me up out of the blue and said, hey, can you be in Massachusetts on Friday night for a show with Victory Championship Wrestling, which was Bo Douglas and Jason Rumble? And I said, sure, absolutely, I can be there. It was a little more to that. I had to give a little foot rub and stuff to the missus, and make sure I was able to go. But we got that taken care of, got out there, and they put us in there with Lumberjake and a guy that you've met, Big Bear Matuch.
Oh, yeah.
And they were their tag team champions at the time. And that was the very first night of the fellowship. And we went out there and we worked together. We got backstage and everyone said, how long have you guys been doing this together? And we looked at them and, of course, we kayfabed them beforehand. We were like, oh, yeah, tons of matches. Blah, blah, blah. We've been training together, blah, blah, blah. That was the first time we've been in the ring together. And it worked. And that's one of those things you don't find often, though. You really don't. With me and Osiris, it literally worked right away. A couple weeks later, we were at Showcase, and we stuck on there. We really grabbed hold there. We became their tag champions a few months after showing up, and we held them for almost 2 full years, the longest reign they've ever had there. And in that time, we also went to XWA, Nova. I think we did a few shows for Nova like that. We were just all over with PWA. We were doing shows together. We were out in Pennsylvania. We were in New Jersey. When we brought Dante in, we had actually taken a trip to Indiana to Smash Mouth, which was a lot of fun. A little different than we thought it was going to be, but a lot of fun. We went out there. We did 2 shots for them, a Saturday and a Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, I forget which. But we ended up doing 2 shots for them out there, and Dante was like, showing some real potential. He'd had I think 2 or 3 matches before that. And we said, we could really see him coming on board here. And, we kind of took him under our wing and had him out on the road with us for a few years. And he did really good stuff, and he still is. He's doing great stuff now. And Jimmy Mad says hi, and so does Dirty Dan, the Dirtologist. And
my man.
But yeah, so we did that, and then later on, we were hanging out so much with Omar and making drives with him out to Massachusetts, and we had this Canadian show coming up. And the guy out there was like, you should just make him part of your crew. And it seemed like a really good idea at the time. So we did. It turns out it wasn't the best idea. It wasn't the best fit. That's not, blowing smoke or shooting on anybody. He wasn't the best fit for the fellowship. And I'd love to tag with him again. And we have since, not as the fellowship. Tagged together at NYCW here in New York, in Whitesboro, New York, and we won the match pretty easily. It was a good match. We had good camaraderie, we had good chemistry. It was just he wasn't really a fit for the fellowship. Mm-hmm. So, but as far as bringing other people in, I don't think so. I think it hurts, but I think the fellowship's not bad. Just kidding. And then Tony goes too. No, I think the fellowship has run its course at this point. I have very little. I grew up on tag team wrestling. It was my favorite kind of wrestling. LOD, the Bulldogs, Demolition, Killer Bees, Strike Force. All those old '80s tag teams were just amazing to me. Everything they did, and I got a little stale on it. So I think that's pretty much done.
Okay.
But you never say never. So it's pretty much done.
And like you said, the chemistry, that'll never go away. So if you and Osiris wanted to do something, I mean, that could just,
Well, it's funny. The last two matches we had were at Test of Strength together.
Mm.
And one of them was very good. And one of them was not. And that was against the Dirty Family. That was not a good match. That was very poor performance by myself. I'll put the blame on me. I'm that guy now where I'll do that. I don't care. It doesn't hurt my feelings if people say you suck. I get it. If I suck, I suck. Everyone has a bad day. But that one was on me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, again, with the music and wrestling, it's like you can't play every single song perfect every single time. You could practice it in your room or your studio time after time and sound fucking amazing. And then you get out on that live stage and it's like, what the fuck just happened there?
Yeah, it happens sometimes. And you can't take it's like, what was it, Jim Ross and Sid Vicious. Oh shit, can we do that again? No, we're live TV, boss. You can't take it back. It happens. Yeah. So yeah, that's all good.
So does the SOG character, does that continue as your career continues, or do you envision in your own mind something else for Ronnie Ribs, or is it just SOG until you kind of ride off into the sunset?
I'd like to think that I'll always be the SOG, but I'm also thinking, why can't I just go by Ronnie Ribs for a while?
Mm-hmm.
I once asked somebody, how long do you think that thing has legs for? Talking about their character, and I won't name names, but screw it. We're shooting here. I asked El Jabroni, how long do you think this has legs for? And he said, well, forever. And I said, sure, on this level. But the kid's entertaining. He could make it to those next levels. But what happens when he's there for 3-6 months and they're running every other week, or they're recording 3-4 weeks at a time, and after the fourth week he sees on the internet, man, this sucks. It's not getting over. But I mean, you never know. It gets over everywhere he goes right now. Once a month, it's great. I think it's very entertaining what he does. I love the 33-pound head. I hate it when he hits me with it. And that poor bastard, man, he had it coming, man. He chopped me in the throat. So I think he knew it was coming, man. I lit him up last time I was in there with him.
I know.
I felt terrible about that. But back to, let me digress here. The SOG character, it hasn't necessarily run its course. Mm-hmm. But there's room for me to be myself a little more and have a little more fun at times and be a little more cordial at times. But don't get me wrong, no matter what, when I step between those ropes, when I wipe my feet and step between those ropes, it's definitely business, and that's all there is to it. There's another guy like that I love watching, Jay Freddy. What do you think about him?
About who?
Jay Freddy.
I love Jay Freddy. The very first time I've ever seen Jay Freddy was actually the very first time I ever seen Mike Skyros at the XWA Center. Right. They were going against each other, and the fans didn't realize what they were seeing right there. And I look back on that because I talked to Mr. Skyros on this, and it's like you look back on that and you're like, what's the matter with you guys? This is fucking tits, man. This is good shit.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Sometimes you have really, really good matches in front of just stale fans. Me and a recent guest viewers, Mike Montero, it's definitely top 5 match of my career. Me and him went out to a time limit draw in front of, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 fans, where he was feeling a little under weather, I guess. He had gotten there late. It was, hey, I'll see you in the ring, and that's what happened. We went out there and we just wrestled, and it was so weird because you couldn't get him behind you. Like, I couldn't get him behind me. He couldn't get behind him. And I was like, I think I may have even still been the champion at the time of that company for Showcase Pro Wrestling in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And just to give a quick cheap plug, but it was crazy because we went out there and we had a great match, great chemistry. It was really good. I mean, he's easy to work with anyway. He's great.
Yeah.
Him and Skyros had a fabulous match up at UFO a couple months ago. And it was just weird because it was like trying to pull teeth almost, like, hey, what do we got to do here? Here, let me hit them with a superplex and see if they react. And of course they did, but it was just one of those things where it was like, damn, man, this is. I watched it back going, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think it's just a matter of, and I mean, everybody's flavor isn't X or Y or Z.
It's different flavors of ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, so I think some of that happens, but if there's fans that are unfamiliar with said character, that's where it kind of gets wonky a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's what happened to Skyros and Freddie at XWA. I think they were a little unfamiliar with both of them. Yeah, they're both New York guys, and I know Freddie had been out to New England a bunch. I think Skyros was just starting to go out that way,
yes.
Because they were both trained by Springgate also. So, we all come from that same lineage. And me and Skyros, we actually took the ride out to UFO together and stuff. We had a great time doing that. But I think that's kind of what happened there. But at Showcase in Woonsocket, it was a little wonky because it was just weird because they were all familiar with both of us. Everyone there knew who we were. It was really kind of strange to me. But it was, like I said, it was one of my top 5 favorite matches of all time, without a doubt.
I've been able to see some Montero action live. Did not know who he was. Obviously, when I first seen him, latched onto his style and what he was trying to tell in that ring to us. And I got it. Not everybody gets, the thinner guy of stature and, trying to be the wrestler. I got it. I mean, because like you said, I weigh like 35 pounds and that's with like fucking quarters in the pockets, But yeah, that scene, the Rhode Island scene, the chop shop and all of that, I seen Mr. Ribs a bunch out there. And there was one specific time that I would like to bring up. I came up a little bit over 2-hour drive, and I wore let me rephrase that. I made the fucking mistake of wearing a Dijak shirt. It was his last shirt that he made before he went to fucking NXT. I was walking up like I'm fucking Donkey K, center ring, and this asshole's like, you drove and gave me shit.
Just giving you the shirt you have on the week prior. And I had just given you that shirt the week prior. You drove that way to watch me versus Osiris. There was a match on that card you even heard of before that. It was before the match you had even heard of or cared about. You were waiting for that one match, and did it deliver?
Dude, it was amazing. And I said to my dad, this is why we came. I don't even care what's on the card. This is why we came.
And I still don't have a highlight.
Oh God, that is deserved, and it hurt. It's totally deserved. You know what? And your honor, sir.
Oh, Red Bill's gonna be counting to 1, 2, 3 on you.
Holy fuck! Oh, he is so gonna hate me. I applaud Mr. SOG. Oh, Jesus Christ. Man. Let's see, SOG. Oh, the Chop Shop is where I seen you a bunch of times. Now, that specific show that I wore said shirt, you guys had that match. It was amazing. But pre-match, I sat right next to your dad.
Oh, man.
And I'm not sure who else. If it was, I don't know who he was with at the time. But, dude, you came over and gave me more shit for the shirt. And he kind of took over. He's like, well, you kind of deserve it, kind of thing. Oh, my God. It was amazing, man.
Yeah.
But that kind of shit as a fan, for me personally, I don't delve it, or I don't dive into your guys and women's. I don't dive into your personal lives, but sitting next to your dad and just that little thing, man, that's the shit I live for. That happens in wrestling. That would never happen. And your dad's a total stranger, but he knows who I was because you piss on me, I share footage, you piss on me more. So it was like this relationship, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. He shares your stuff all the time now too. Like he's a big fan of yours.
Dude, he does.
He'll
Anytime.
be watching this later, and he'll share this too for sure.
Yeah, the support system I talk about in wrestling, maybe your partner, your wife, or whatever, or your parents. That's a big part of wrestling. Who right now is like your biggest support system? That's through your career.
Oh, throughout my career, because I did start this after I was married, so my wife has been there since day one. She understood what she was getting into. She's actually part of the reason for me to get into this business. She kind of set the table, and then it just snowballed from there. My father, of course, has been a huge supporter. My mother also she was a gigantic wrestling fan from way back. So my mother and my stepfather is actually in the hospital right now back in Rhode Island. God bless, might be good. And they've all been huge supporters of it. My kids, obviously, I got 3 little boys, man, and they love it. They eat this shit up, and it's fun for them, man. They were when I got to do Monday Night Raw and stuff, they were all sitting around in my t-shirts, watching at their grandparents' house who are not wrestling fans. So it's been great, I've had a tremendous amount of support. I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to have, a woman who's going to stand by me and make sure that I do well and help me to keep trying to make to the next level. But for now, I'm pretty happy just being Ronnie.
That's cool, man. So, speaking of being just Ronnie, talk to us, the fans, a little bit about what's your thought process, your mindset of you're gonna get away from the SOG and just kind of use Ronnie Ribs. Or could you talk about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I just think it's time for a small change, not a huge change. I'm not looking to go out and reinvent myself and become, like what was it Lex Luger did there, the narcissist. Remember that with the big freaking cape and the mirrors and all that? Like, you're Luger, dude. Like, stop it. Or, any of the other ones that we can think of throughout the years, like, what was it? Dan Spivey did that rip off of dead air. Listen to me, of De Niro's character from Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it got compared to Bray Wyatt also. It was like that was good. Max Keller or whatever, Max Keating, and so I'm not looking to change my character, my persona. I am who I am. So in some regard, I'll still be the SOG. That's still who I am, And you show up and say, "I want an SOG shirt," I'll get some right out of my bag for you. I don't care. I'm the SOG. I'm still the SOG. It's fine. That's who I am. It's not it's not a nickname. Nobody gave that to me in wrestling. It's who I am.
Okay, I got that. I noticed that you never have a manager. Is that something you've done by design?
No, my friend, no. We had a manager. The Fellowship, had one of the most entertaining managers that I can think of in wrestling. His name was Dr. Ozone. He's the most hot Dr. Ozone.
Okay, now that's what the moonshine is doing to my fucking head. Because oh my God, do me a favor, text Doc Ozone, tell him do not watch this. He's gonna fucking kill me.
No, I'm gonna tell him to watch it. Just because
No.
Gods.
No. He's gonna fucking kill me. How can I forget about Doc Ozone? Is one of the most charismatic, off the wall.
Stop trying to save your ass. Stop trying to save your ass.
But I'm trying to give the fans a smidge of a description because he is gonna so fucking kill me. Oh my God. This dude will go running around the ring. He will sweat his ass off. He will scream as loud as he has to, and he will
absolutely need to have him on your show at some point. There's no doubt.
Yes,
he is the best. The best manager that. He's not only the best manager that we could have hoped for. He's the best manager that we needed, that we wanted. He did literally everything we asked him to 100% of the time and to 100% of his ability, no matter what. I mean, hell, I've seen that man crowd surf. I've seen him try to. We were. Quick Doc Ozone story. We're driving through New Hampshire. No, Vermont, sorry. And we're lost in the backwoods of Vermont. Not near Stowe or Burlington. We were in the middle of nowhere, Vermont, looking for this show. And Doc likes to partake in God's special flowers. And, so, of course, it's kind of smoky in there. And we're all in there. It's like a Cheech and Chong highlight film. So we haven't seen a person in like hours, it feels like. We pull up over this little rickety bridge to this old gas station that's like a log cabin. And Dr. Ozone is dressed in his Doc Ozone stuff. And he goes, let me go ask for directions. Stop it, Doc. Let me go ask for directions. You don't know what's on the other side of that door. And he goes, you're right. Ding-a-ding, ding, 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 ding. And I just lost my shit. I fell out of the car. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get arrested for public intoxication because I'm just laughing so hard. I felt like somebody was going to be like, there's no way you're sober. Come here. But yeah, he's just, you're right, Ronnie. Ding-a-ding, ding, 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 ding. And there's a lot of other stuff that we could talk about, but we won't, we'll spare them the stories of those things.
Well, the dude is a character and a half. I've seen him manage in a couple different spots, and he's on his game every single time. And he's always on fire, that guy. That's for sure.
And he's in a rock band.
Yeah. Actually, the highlight reel that I'm making between you and Cyrus, I'm supposed to take his song from you and use it as the background.
Oh, I would totally dig that. Absolutely, man. Chinstrap rocks.
Yeah, man. So please, again, stress to Doc Ozone, do not watch past, say, 40 minutes.
Brother, I already told him. I said, you got to watch the whole thing. You're mentioned.
Fuck. I am so screwed. He's going to kill me.
It's a wrap.
I see you guys working with people that I normally don't see you, say in a tag team, being with Osiris or have you.
Hold on. Can we press pause for one moment?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Uh-oh. I think he's got to go to the little boys' room. I don't know what's going on. I'll tell you one thing, man. That moonshine, that's the most beautiful moonshine I've ever had in my existence, and I'm not a drinker. So, one Lisa Thomas, I have to applaud you. That's still the best moonshine. And there's still, I don't know. It started as a half of Mason, and now we're about right there. So, I mean, I've been sipping this with SOG, and I'm kind of feeling it a little bit. And I want to smoke like 1,000 cigarettes, but I don't know. I don't think I should smoke on camera. It's probably not good etiquette to smoke a cigarette on camera. But, dude, Doc Ozone, I
have one.
I what?
Have one for me. Go ahead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. It's your show, brother.
Oh, man. I've never smoked. I just kind of, but dude, sipping that moonshine, it's got the blood.
It's a night of firsts.
Dude, I'm all fucking tanked on moonshine. What the fuck?
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta get Don Kincaid lit. Yeah.
Now, I never edit anything. I am so clipping that, and that is going to be its own little time capsule that I'm going to keep and share, and it's going to be amazing.
Dude, that should be the opening spot on your show.
Oh, I will. I'll cut it and flip it. Yes. You are Yes. Wow.
It's the night of first. Don Kincaid's having a smoke on the air.
Dude, I'm having a fucking blast with SOG on stirring a pot. Who the hell knew this was going to happen?
Hey, you see, I asked you, I said, what's the stir in the pot thing? And Fogman said, it's a great show. You got to go on it. And I said, okay.
Let's talk about your relationship with Foggy, because you and Foggy go way back.
Yeah, back to PWA days, man. Back to the old school. And he's a great guy. I love Foggy, man. He's there all the time. You know, everywhere in Connecticut, he's there. He's going to be there. It took me like 5 years to get him a damn T-shirt. But I finally got him one. Sorry, my dog's at my feet now. But yeah, so I love it that he's there and supports wrestling, and he's got Center Ring, which is awesome. I know you're on that with him, you know.
Yeah, dude, it's been a blast.
We were on that once. Me and Osiris were on that once. Quite a while ago now, obviously. We've always talked about going back, but I mean, I live 4.5 hours away.
Yeah.
To make that trip on Thursday nights?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's pretty rough, man, you know.
Yeah, that's tough.
I better line up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just stay away from the house for a while because she's gonna be mad.
With the whole shut-in quarantine thing happening, are you able to still get workouts in and still keep your body going during this time?
Yeah, I've been doing actually really well. I actually dropped a bunch of weight, which is kind of crazy. I'm down to this morning I weighed in at 233.5. My last show in Taunton, Massachusetts, I checked in at just about 250. So I'm down about 15, 16 pounds. I have a home gym downstairs, so with about, 500-600 pounds of weight, a squat rack, bench, you know. When we come to my house, people, you bring that damn Corona, you're going to meet the business end of my shotgun.
A more important question, do you have any toilet paper?
I do.
Oh, you didn't send your address. Shit.
No,
I thought
don't you just show up at my house now. I don't play that uninvited card. You play the business end of my shotgun.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't.
Remember, I'm still a little paranoid, man.
Yeah, hey, I know. So we don't want no surprises on SOG. We don't want none of that.
Man, I had to chase one of those guys. Can I see the second page of your electric bill?
No.
Yeah, I told him to get lost. He said, go screw yourself. I grabbed my machete. He said, what'd you say? He started running down the street.
I could never imagine opening the door as one of those fucking guys and seeing you and giving you lip. Are you fucking kidding me?
That was my thought process. Like, what? I will chop you up into pieces. You're about to become fertilizer for my garden, and I take all that stuff on the road.
On the face page, as you made a post about coming on to Stir the Pot, there was a couple posts added, and the first one, let's talk about one, Judge Chambers. Give us some of that. And please, do you remember what he said on the face page? I'm
actually checking that right now.
Yeah.
Tell him how many times you beat the judge. Well, here's the thing. I'm like, I've beaten the judge like 37, 38 times. I think maybe it's even 39 and won.
What?
And won. He beat me defending... It might have the world title at Mass Anarchy Wrestling. I challenged him for that, and he beat me. Fair and square, gave me a cruelty of a backbreaker, just killed me, set me down. It happens. However, Judge has this weird thing. He's been hitting the head too many times, mostly by me, and he's got this alternate ego now where he does this Liftington thing. I knocked him all the way back to like the 1920s. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, I hit him so hard with a DDT one time. Like literally, I was like, bang, and I heard him. He was like, let's like press rewind on him. You know? Yeah. And that's Scooby doing it. And then the next time I saw him, he had on some leopard, and he was like, "Hello, sir. I am Liftington," and I was like, "Are you sure?" But I've never beat Liftington. That's the fact.
You beat in Chambers 39 or 39ish and won, and you've
never beaten Liftington. Nope.
Really?
Really, I have never beaten. And in fact, I will say it's 0-3, maybe 4 against Liftington, and
What?
one of them, I I could have beaten anybody else in the match and won, but he still pinned me. One of those scramble deals, and somehow I got hit with, like, I don't know, everything under the sun, and then he pinned me. So yeah, there was that.
The Chop Shop is just a tons of fun, man. It's
There's
always a
lot
good.
that goes on there, man. It's a great time. I have a blast there. I love it. I love working down there. I had a blast working for years for MAW. They've closed up now. It's a different company doing things. I worked for RWA before that for years, where another guy who commented on there, Irish Warrior. I worked with him. Literally, it felt like every week for years, for like 2 years straight. I've wrestled him in 3 or 4 different companies. It's just, we've had a long rivalry. So yeah, and like RICW down there, a great company. Anybody who's looking to, get their feet wet and really start working every single weekend, the Chop Shop is a great place because they have stuff. So if you just check in with them, more than likely they can either put you on or get you pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, because there's like a good half a dozen promotions that kind of call that their home base, if you will. So there's plenty to be had at the Chop Shop.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so great. It really does. So.
Down, I don't know if anybody else has added anything past this said guy. One Jimmy Mees. Give us some little Jimmy Mees action.
I love Jimmy. That's all I can say. He said to tell you how much I love him. I love him. He's a great dude. He really is just a terrific guy. When I first met Jimmy, it wasn't even wrestling related. I was a shift supervisor for Apollo Security International, who had a bunch of hotels in like Westchester County, Rockland County, and they also had one in Danbury. They had a contract there. My wife had gotten a job at Danbury Hospital. I moved from Suffolk, New York to Danbury, and he was on the actual hospital security there. That's when we first met. So when the dad showed up, everyone was like, so what do you do? And I was just like, well, I kind of do this as a day job, and, I'm looking to cut my teeth wrestling professionally. And they were like, oh, Jimmy does that. So I was like, oh, I got to meet this freaking guy. And I meet him, and I'm like, oh, I've seen you on shows. You're a dick. No, he was a nice guy. He was always a nice guy to me. He really was. He's gonna kick me next time for saying that. But no, we're good. Whenever we see each other, it's real quick to be like, hey, you want to go do the thing? And we go do the thing, and then, it is what it is.
But that's what he projects to the fans when he comes out of that curtain. I've never seen him not be a dick, but a very, very small handful of times. And I mean a very small handful of times.
Well, I think, as we get older, sometimes our survival depends on potentially joining forces with people that we may have never seen happen before, that maybe what this world needs is just, a smaller version of like the LOD type, come in, punch you in the face and leave. And a lot of these younger guys out there, they don't realize that in order to obtain survival, they've got to do things. They've got to be out there every weekend, not once a month. They've got to go more than 50 miles from their damn houses. And at some point, you see Jimmy, and he's almost like a politician that you just buy into. And who knows, maybe someday, somewhere, the stars will align. Maybe, who knows? Little forethought there for you, a little teaser, a little something.
I'll take. I'll take that no matter what. I'll accept.
I know
that.
you would love to see that.
Dude, that would be fucking. That would be fine for me.
We would kill everybody.
You talk about the drives, and before I do let you go, I have to talk about the drives that SOG, and like he just mentioned, and I usually try to ask you guys and girls a little advice, but I don't think I have to after that. The drives that SOG is off the effing chain, whether it's alone or whether it's with some of his brothers, I am telling you, give us a little insight on exactly what it takes for SOG to travel and all of this shit. Give us some little traveling mileage, if you will.
Bang. That's all you need. No, I'm kidding. There's all kinds of things. Yeah, you want a little mileage thing? I bought my car 3 years ago, March 3rd. So March 3rd, it was 3 years. I bought that car with 34 miles on it. The 2016 Ford Focus SE, all leather. Very nice car. Skip ahead 3 years and a pandemic. That car has 126,172 miles when I parked it today. 126,000 plus miles in 3 years. That car has literally seen more states than most of you young bucks trying to cut your teeth. That's not bragging. That's a fact. That car's been to Canada twice, to Indiana, to New Jersey. God knows how many trips to the Monster Factory. I love it down there. Can't say enough good things. Gotta plug that. Danny Cage, you the man. Keep doing what you're doing. Down to Virginia for an Arn Anderson seminar. Yes, we drove all the way to Virginia for an Arn Anderson seminar. Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut. Like, that's what I do. If you want to be a wrestler, get ready to be behind the wheel of a damn car, because that's what you're going to do. You're going to log more miles than any of your friends. You're going to pay for more oil changes than any of your friends. You're going to need new tires before all your friends. This is all real shit. This is where it's real. You're literally going to, if you want to do something, if you want to get even a little taste of what it's like, you got to be out there. Yes, you got to train properly, but then you got to be out there. And I'm a big proponent of getting trained by multiple people. Like I said, I was trained by Joseph Von Schmidt at PWA, and I was trained by Zachary Springate and Isis Effects, who was one of his lead trainers there. But I've also trained numerous times down at the Monster Factory for weekends at a time because I love going there. I've done so many seminars. Don, honestly, I can't even remember them all. I don't remember all the matches I've had, damn it, anymore. And that's not bragging. That's too many times getting hit in the head. But
it's the time you put in, though.
Right. When you're doing 6-7 matches in a weekend, it starts to get crazy.
Yeah.
And, like the older guys taught me, you don't have a double shot unless it's 2 shows on the same day, damn it. It's not a double shot weekend. 94 HJY in Rhode Island circa 1998.
This, again, was a 180 spin from what I really thought I was going to get from one SOG.
Well, I know you thought I was going to be all standoffish, but you know what? These times got everybody feeling a little bit of cabin fever, and if I can be a little entertaining, then that's what I'll be,
Hey, man. I cannot thank you enough for your time. This was...
Let me ask you a question first. Let me ask you a question. Top 3 favorite wrestlers all time.
All time?
All time.
Oh, me?
Top 3. I'm not even asking for a Mount Rushmore. Top 3.
You can't do that. I've been drinking.
That's okay. Spit them out.
All right. Central High School. It was Bob Backlund, the champ, against Cowboy Bob Orton. Then, the other match that stands out is Ivan Putski, Tito Santana. They were champions going against the Wild Samoans with Lou Albano, Ivan Putski.
Oh, Ivan Putski. I thought you were going to say Tito.
No,
all right.
Ivan Putski. No.
All right.
And my third one, now I'm fucked up because that's my go-to, man. And it's always old school. And I'm going to give you the Don Morocco because his promos, his look, his style, it didn't matter. You believed whatever Don Morocco was fucking saying.
He said, amen.
Yeah.
God bless Morocco.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, again, holy fuck, me and Ronnie Ribs, SOG, we got along. We talk like 2 guys, 2 mentions talking wrestling. Woo! I've been sipping the sip. I even had a cigarette on the air, which I did not expect to do. Ronnie Ribs, this was probably one of my most very chill, relaxed, very comfortable. I don't know how to put it. Imano to Imano, this was fucking amazing for me, my friend.
Hey, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, Don. And hopefully we can do it again sometime soon.
Oh my God, that is crazy stuff. Lisa Thomas, what have you done to me with this stuff? This was stirring the pot with Don Kincaid, a little junkie Don Kincaid. With one SOG Ronnie Ribs.
Yeah, you know, you gotta do it. Yeah.